Hi, Marielle. Thanks for joining us for another parent Q&A session. We appreciate your time so much.
No problem. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So you came up with a great name for what we're going to be doing. It's called now Distance Assistance 101. Okay, so one of the things that parents are asking about right now, and actually quite a few times during this week, is connectivity. And we did have some issues. The district and a lot of districts around the state did have issues with the first day being a little overloaded. And it has gotten much better every single day since then. But there are a few times where it's peak use hours, and some parents and students are still having a little bit of problems, right? So between 9 and 10 a.m. is the peak hour typically. So they should maybe see if they could start a little earlier or come back to it later, right?
Yeah, I would pace it out. So just anytime you have everyone in any organization trying to do one thing, it can slow things down a little bit. So go ahead and try to avoid that 9 to 10 hour. But if you are on during 9 to 10 and things are slow and you feel like, something else is going on at home, you have to get back to work, whatever it is, then, just go ahead and walk away, take a walk, do something different, come back to it either a little bit later or again, before 9 a.m. Remember, distance learning is flexible, and we know that there are other things going on at home, and it's okay for you to walk away and come back later.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you so much. So let's jump right into the more of the questions that have been coming to us. And these are coming to us via social media, email, as well as phone calls into the district. So we're trying to hit as many of these questions as we can. The first is, it's 5 days in now, and I haven't heard from my child's teacher. What's going on? And some of it could be the communications in terms of the contact information that's on file for a parent, correct?
Yeah, so all teachers have made an attempt to contact students and their parents at this time. However, they can only use the phone number or email address that the parent has on file in the Skyward Student Information System. So if you haven't heard anything from your child's teacher by this time, my first stop would be to check with the information in Skyward and make sure it's accurate. If it's not, then I think you should head right on over to distancelearning.ocps.net. And we have a special tab set up on this website for you where you can come right on down to school generic email addresses and click on it. And then you will see an entire page of school email addresses, and you can select your child's school and email them any updated contact information that your child's teacher may need, like a new cell phone number, a new email address, or even a new physical address for receiving packets, etc. If for some reason after that you do not yet hear from your child's teacher, then our next step would be to email the child's teacher at their OCPS email address, and all of our teachers' email addresses are on their school website, and ask them, for some information. Give them about 24 hours to respond, because obviously there's a lot of things happening right now. And then if you still don't hear back, then contact your child's principal, but I'm sure that would be a rare circumstance. At the secondary level, middle school and high school, most of our teachers are reaching out to students directly with assignments because they already do that during the school day. Mm-hmm. So in that particular case, double, triple check that your child has logged into Canvas and checked out all of the courses on their dashboard to look for assignments. They might even be able to look at the due dates that are coming up over on the right-hand side of the screen. And then they can check 2 different places for information. The first piece might be to click on the Canvas calendar and see if there are any upcoming due dates that their teacher has posted that maybe they didn't see or understand, okay? The second thing you can do is you can click on the inbox feature and be able to see if the child's teacher has emailed the student here, and the student can also compose a message to their teacher and ask for more information. If that has not been effective, or you don't see any information posted on the Canvas calendar, in the Canvas inbox, it's time to hop on over to Launchpad and make sure your student has checked their OCPS email address. All students in the district have a Gmail account, and that Gmail account can be accessed at gmail.com or through their Google Drive. And your student's email address is their student number at students.ocps.net.
Let's repeat that. Absolutely, that answers that question quite a bit. Let's repeat that formula for students and for parents who may not have known that that existed. It's students, no, I'm sorry, I'm getting it wrong myself. You tell it.
No problem. It's the student number at students, plural with an S, .ocps.net. Now, the next thing I can imagine parents might want to know is what's the password for their email account? But that's going to be the same password as their Launchpad. And I have a feeling Sarah's about to ask me a question about that one.
Yes, what do I do if my child has forgotten their password?
Yeah, so the good thing about OCPS and the bad part about OCPS is that we use single sign-on. And so the password is the same for everything. If you forget your password, you can't get into your computer or Launchpad or your email or anything else. Yeah. So what is my child's password for secondary? Well, for middle school and high school students, they set up their own passwords for extra security. So if they forget their password or their password isn't working or it expired, then they need to be able to get onto the OCPS network. And they would have to do that by being near or at an OCPS school. And once they are near or at an OCPS school, they can visit studentid.ocps.net to reset their password. Now, how does that work with social distancing? Now, remember that you cannot walk into a school right now without an appointment, right? But you can drive up to the car loop, stay in your vehicle, and you should be able to access the network from right there and be able to go to studentid.ocps.net. Now, I did it this morning to reset my own password and checked it out myself. A quick tip, though, is that our middle schools and high schools tend to have the largest area for a car loop and also the strongest Wi-Fi signal. So you might want to check out the closest one of those.
Okay, so go to closest school. It doesn't have to be the school that you attend if there's one that's closer. Click on to the Wi-Fi network that's there and then go to, say that website one more time.
studentid.ocps.net, and it'll prompt you to reset your password and go through all of those steps. You have to do it on the school network, though. It won't work at home.
Okay. And then for elementary school students, what's their password?
Oh, elementary school students. So we know that they're definitely not going to be resetting their password in a car loop. So their configuration is a little different. Their username is their student number. And if your little one does not know their student number, you need to call your child's school and they can help you get that information. The password is their birth date. Now, I don't want to give that configuration out right here for security reasons, but if you're not sure what order to put that birth date in, just give your child's school a call and they can help you out with that.
Okay, great. That's awesome. All right, so let's get into some of the other issues that we've been getting from parents. So one of the other questions that we get is I can't log into Launchpad, or my child can't log into Launchpad. So what do they do?
So the first step is to make sure that you've put in their student number correctly and their password correctly. If they have done both of those things correctly and you even checked that reset process and it still didn't work, the next step is going to be to email your child's school, and they can escalate and try to solve that problem for you remotely and investigate what's going on with your child's account.
Isn't there a sticker on the digital devices that are from the district on that would be every secondary student's device, right?
Yeah, so every middle school and high school student should have a little sticker on their device that has the Student Tech Request website. It's studenttechrequest.ocps.net. And students can enter a ticket that allows them to share a problem they're having with their device, like maybe a piece of software is not installed correctly, or they're getting an error message on their screen, or something is happening that's unusual. In that case, technology support representatives can often fix a lot of problems remotely. And if they can't fix the problem remotely, they can assist you and your child with setting up an appointment to visit the school for assistance.
Okay, all right, very good information. Let's jump into iReady. Elementary school students are using iReady right now. What if it's not working right? What if they're having a problem getting to it on a mobile device that they're using from home? How does that work?
So iReady is accessed via the school's Launchpad, right? And we get to our Launchpad at launchpad.ocps.net. Now, if you're on a desktop or a laptop, you can just click on iReady and it should open up right away, no problem. However, we know a lot of our elementary school parents are using an iPad or an Android tablet or maybe even a smartphone. And when they're going through that process, something's just not working right for you. So you have to do something I like to call app smashing. That means using two apps together. The first app you need on a mobile device is the ClassLink app. That's the app for Launchpad. You're going to download the ClassLink app for either your Apple or your Android device, and then that will take you to the district's Launchpad on your cell phone or your tablet. Once you click on iReady from inside that app, it's going to try to open up the iReady mobile app. And it's going to pass the credentials or the login information from ClassLink to iReady. So it's going to open it up. So then you need the iReady mobile app. What we know a lot of our parents have done, though, is they just downloaded the iReady app and they tried to log into that right away, and it didn't work. And that's frustrating. But remember that the credentials or your child's login has to pass from ClassLink to iReady for it to work. So you need two apps on your iPhone or Android phone or your tablet.
And that's specific for that. It's different. And that's where I think this Q&A comes in and is really helpful, because it really depends. The answers to some of these questions really depend on what device the student or the parent is using, right?
Yes, and when all else fails, right, email your child's teacher, and even though they may not know the answer themselves, they can contact someone on our team or somebody in instructional technology that can help them through that solution and get right back to you.
Okay, great. Similar question is about the ClassLink app and not working consistently. So is that something that you're hearing a lot of?
So we don't hear a lot about the ClassLink ClassLink app not working consistently. However, I do think it's important for parents to remember that when they download that app for the first time and they go to log into it, it is going to ask you to search for your school district, and you need to put in Orange County Public Schools. Sometimes people put in the wrong information, or maybe they spelled it wrong, and it makes it seem like the app's not working correctly when it really is. So the first step is search for Orange County Public School, and the second step in the ClassLink app is to put in your student's username, which is their student number, and their password. The auto login button does not work at your house. That's only for when you're at school and you're on the school network.
Okay.
You need to hit the blue sign-in button.
Okay, that's good. I will also tell parents that there are other Orange County public schools around the country. So there's one in California, there's one in New York and North Carolina. I'm sure there's a couple of others as well.
I think there's even one in Ohio. Yeah, it's a pretty popular name right now.
Yes, so just make sure that you are finding our Orange County for Florida. Okay. Let's move on, and I want to ask you a question about an OCPS student laptop connecting to the home Wi-Fi. There shouldn't be a problem with that, should there?
No, your students can connect to any Wi-Fi network. However, if they are having trouble, then they can always put in a student tech request and see if something is amiss. Now, remember, if it's a setting on your home internet, it's not something the school can necessarily fix. You might have to call your cable or internet provider. One challenge that sometimes happens is that students may be prompted to put in a password, like at an airport or a restaurant, and that can sometimes be blocked because it's deemed as not safe for your student. So if your home Wi-Fi has some of those settings, you might have to work with your cable or internet provider to get everything straight.
Okay, good. All right, let's move on to Big Blue Button. Tell us what Big Blue Button is if parents don't already know. And then let's talk about the live versus the recordings.
So Big Blue Button is a web conferencing platform, which is basically what Sarah and I are using right now.
Yep.
It's a way for two people to be able to connect via video or chat and share information. In our district, Big Blue Button can only be started by an employee, and they have to invite either a parent or a student to that session and then let them in so that they can participate. By default, our students are not allowed to share their webcam or their microphone, but depending upon what the teacher needs to do, they can turn those settings on for individual students or for groups of students.
Okay.
Teachers can also record the session like Sarah and I are doing right now. So in case your student misses the session because you need to work or something else is going on in your house, they can post the video after the class is over or after the help session or the office hours are over so that your student can check that information out.
And where are those postings? Because I know there are some parents who've been asking us that question. I can't find the video links afterwards. Where do they get that?
Yeah, so it's going to be wherever your teacher posts their assignments. So for middle school and high school, that's most likely our Canvas homepage for the course for your student. But for elementary school, you're going to need to check with your child's teacher. They may be using Canvas, or they might be using another platform like ClassDojo or Remind that is more specific to the school. But they'll be posting their recordings there once they've downloaded. Now remember, video recordings are pretty big and they take a little bit of time to download. So if the session ends at 12 o'clock, the session won't be available as a recording at 12:01. Give your teachers a couple hours to put those up.
Okay, very, very good. Now let's talk a little bit about the guidelines for the amount of work. We've had a lot of questions about that, a lot of concerns, and it definitely varies from school to school, from teacher to teacher, and from course to course. So what are some of those guidelines that the district has put out, and what can parents do if they're feeling like it's a little bit either too much or in some cases too little?
So definitely keep in touch with your child's teacher. We know that every student has different needs and they will help work with you to meet your child's needs. But we also know that there's some differences between online and offline work. Let's talk for just a second about the packets. Remember that those packets are designed to be a week's worth of work. And so you have to break up how much your students are doing on each day. Nobody imagines that a whole packet of work is getting done in one day. That wouldn't be a good idea. Even with online work, your child's teacher might have posted assignments for the whole week, and it'll be up to you as a parent to break those up in the way that best meets the needs of your family before the due date. We posted some sample routines at distancelearning.ocps.net that you can use, and I'll pull some up on the screen for you right now, to be able to help manage your child's time and think about what they're doing. So when you come to distancelearning.ocps.net, you'll see that there's this tab here that says Tips for Parents. And under Tips for Parents, you'll notice that we have some information here about setting up a learning space and then some sample routines. So I'll click on grades 6 through 12 here.
I'm not seeing your screen just right now, Marielle. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's just not coming up on this recording, but I'm not seeing the screen right this second.
Well, pause the recording for just a second, Sarah. So we posted some routines that are samples for parents. This might not be what a day looks like in your house, but this gives you an idea for how you might break up time. Now, keep in mind, your children may be working in the afternoon or the evening after you get home from work. But at the middle school or high school level, we recommend that you allocate about 45 minutes for each class period or each subject area for students to be able to do their work. We also have posted some other examples, for example, here for grades pre-K through 2, that shows how you can break up the day with starting with a morning routine, giving kids some time outside to play, giving them a snack, and then giving them some time for distance learning. You'll also notice here that from 10:30 to 11:30, we put reading and math in there. So it's about 30 minutes per subject area that is recommended at that level. So that gives you an idea for what might work for your family. We know that every family is different, but those sample routines just help you kind of figure out how you might organize things at your house.
Okay, that's fabulous information. I appreciate it. And again, parents can find those at distancelearning.ocps.net.
Yes, ma'am. All of our tips, tricks, resources, and instructions are at distancelearning.ocps.net.
Perfect. Now I'm going to ask you to call up one more screen. I think you have it saved there, the College Board. One of the things that's new today, which is Friday, April 3rd, is that AP has put out some information about the way that they are going to be giving the AP exams for AP courses. I want to make sure that all parents know if your child is in an AP class, and this would be secondary. We are an open access district, so we pay as a district for all students to take the exam. We strongly encourage all students to try the free response exam for each course, which is a little bit different than in years past. The College Board did have to change the way that they are doing their AP testing for this year. So we do encourage all students to try that exam for this year, since passing that test can help you save money when you go to college. But if parents go to collegeboard.ocps.net, and then up at the top, they can click on where it says COVID-19 information. And right there, they will see exactly what Marielle is showing right now. They're going to answer all of your questions about AP courses. They'll talk to you about SAT testing. They also have an awful lot of resources available for students who are taking these classes, including some practice sessions for each individual AP course that they support. It's a really great resource, and I know there's been a lot of questions about that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Sarah. I hadn't seen that either.
Okay, great. So that's going to end it for today's version of Distance Assistance 101. We will be back again with more of these in the future, and we are going to include a question submission link for parents to be able to submit the questions that they have, so we can try to answer them. And again, Marielle, thank you for your time. Thank you for going through all of this in such great detail and answering the questions that parents have right now. We appreciate it.
No problem. See you soon.
Okay, bye.